Welcome everyone to this week's video. Today we are on Fish Friday number 260 and we have a good one for you today. Today's fish is a fish that was requested by a longtime viewer, Murmur Wag, and I thought it would actually be really neat to do sort of a follow-up to a previous video. Today's video that we're going to be talking about is, the Escolar. Now, the Escolar, or scientific name Lepidosibium flavobrunnium. Again, that's Lepidosibium flavobrunnium. It is part of the family Gympylidae, which is the family of snake mackerels. Now, we talked about Escolar just 2 videos ago in the albacore video, and Mummer Wag and I agree, thought it would be neat to do sort of a follow-up. And I am very, very happy I did because I learned some very interesting things. Now, the Escolar is also known as the Walu in Hawaii, I believe. And it is found all over the world. So I have here a sort of a range map of the likelihood of occurrence that you would get. It's actually based on 2050. I realize that now. But you can see here that it is found all over the world. Seems to be concentrated around coastlines, but I believe that might be a little bit of a misnomer because this fish is very pelagic and it seems to occur mainly over continental shelves. So it is a little bit closer to coastlines than others, but I feel like this is primarily based around human, like the likelihood of a human finding them, which would mean that all these gaps are probably completely filled with Escolar as well. I do apologize. I don't have many photographs, so you're going to have to bear with the bad ones. You can see here, like, there's not a lot of good photographs for Escolar. Now, the Escolar is a pelagic fish like most of the other tuna, and it can be found at depths from 25 to 1100 meters below the surface, which is around 80 to 3,600 feet in depth. And they're found deeper during the day, and they migrate to shallower waters as night. As we've talked about numerous times on the channel, many ocean-dwelling species have that sort of diurnal migration where they stay low during the day so that they can, they don't get as overheated, stay in the darker so they're not as visible to predators, and they'll migrate up to shallower waters at night, both to feed. So almost everything the more and more we've delved into it, especially in over open waters, the more you're going to have that diurnal migration. It's probably more common than it isn't. Now, this is a large fish, as you can see in this picture. It can get up to about 220 centimeters, which is 86.6 inches, which is right over 7 feet in length. I believe, yeah, right over 7 feet in length. And can weigh up to 45 kilograms, which is around 100 pounds. So it can be a large fish, which is why it is so heavily sought after. I don't want to say heavily sought after, but why it is caught basically in sort of like a recreational fishing aspect, as you can see here. Obviously, because of it being sold, like the albacore, it does have a, I don't want to say it has a commercial fishery. I think it's just as a bycatch. And as you can see right here, it does kind of look like a tuna. So it has that elongated body. It's relatively robust, a pretty thick fish. It's got these large eyes. In fact, the eyes are so large and it has these dark rings around them that some people say it has eyeglasses, which is actually how it got its common name. Escolar is scholar in Spanish. So I guess they thought, it's got glasses, must be a scholar. I don't know. But really, it just looks like a brown tuna. And in fact, the older it gets, the darker it gets, sometimes almost to very, very black. One of the characteristics it has is actually a pretty crazy lateral line. You can kind of see it here, probably not in the video, but it starts above the opercle bone and kind of slopes up towards the back, and then it just plunges down. And I can't see it here, but I've seen some drawings that have it sort of wavy coming towards the back, and then it straightens out towards the end. Regardless, it's a really crazy lateral line system. Now, in terms of what it eats, it does eat other fish, mackerels, tuna, bonitos. It is a predatory fish, as you can tell, when you start looking at these teeth right here. Actually, let's see if we can follow this lateral line. Yeah, I'm not seeing it here. I guess while we're here, like the tuna, it does have the finlets, does have those side keels, which is also very common in tuna. So it's really not that much of a stretch for me to see why people would confuse this with the tuna. But it does have those predatory teeth. It's eating the other fish. It also eats other fish or squid and crustaceans, just like tuna. As you probably know, squid is one of the #1 diet, the #1 prey items of tuna. So yeah, it's a tuna, but as you know, it's often labeled as white tuna. If you watch the albacore video, there were multiple samples that were taken, and it turned out a lot of them were actually Escolar, not albacore, which is not necessarily the restaurant's fault. Sometimes it probably is, but it's actually fairly common for this being labeled. While doing some more digging, it turns out that 5 out of every 9 restaurants that are saying that they're serving white tuna or albacore, they're actually serving Escolar. And I do want to say that apparently Escolar is a wonderful tasting fish. A lot of people have said this fish tastes amazing. It's all there. But for the interesting fact we're getting the video on is, while if Escolar tastes so well and it's so commonly caught while tuna fishing, why don't I hear about this more? And that's actually because eating a lot of Escolar has some really bad side effects. And it may not be the side effects you might be thinking. A lot of people thought of when they think of like ocean dwelling fish, they think of like the ciguatera poisoning. But this fish has something completely different. And its side effects can actually be so bad that Japan has actually banned Escolar since 1977. Italy has also banned it, and it's been considered for bans in other countries. Canada, United States of America considered banning it, the FDA. But they don't, only Japan and Italy, I believe, has actually banned them, but it has been considered. Most of them do have a sort of pamphlet, a warning for theirs. So what is the cause? What health effects are caused by Escolar, and why is it not more common? And that's actually because it has I think it's like hysteria, which I'm not going to really explain with it, but essentially it is horrendously bad gut issues, as you can guess probably from the final part, chyteria, and I believe that's how you pronounce it. And it causes your stools to actually look orange, and it's caused by something that Escolars store within their flesh. They actually develop what are called wax esters. And wax esters are the same things that, it's like in beeswax and things like that. So how they're creating the wax esters, that's completely different, and I did not have time to do a deep dive into this. But yeah, so the wax esters that the Escolars can store up are actually what cause those issues, and they can be so bad that people have been hospitalized or died from eating too much Escolars. Now, there's a way to limit it. Hey, limit your fish consumption and limit, how often you eat it, especially if you're actively going out for Escolars. I believe the recommended was 6 ounces every 2 or 3 days. And honestly, that makes sense why Japan banned it, because Japan is so prevalent on eating seafood and fish that it would be almost impossible to actually limit that intake if it is mislabeled. So I believe there are very hefty fines. But that's what's so interesting about this fish, is that it's so often mislabeled, and yet it has some really, really serious side effects that are, can cause so many issues. But it's also side effects that are caused by something that honestly I've never even heard of. Wax esters, wax compounds actually being stored in the muscle is something that seems really foreign to the human mind, because it's something we don't think about. And I'm probably going to do a deeper dive and start learning about the wax esters and like the compounds and things like that, just because I'm interested in it. But that's really a really unique deal to me. I cannot think of anything that I can't even think of something that would create wax esters, especially in the fish world. Just a really, really interesting thing. So something I would encourage you all to do. Go look up wax esters, and maybe you can teach me, because I dang sure don't know. But thank you guys so much again. I really appreciate it. Hope to see you again. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe if you do. I'd really appreciate it. Hope to see you again. If you'd like to support the channel, please click the link down below. It is by no means expected, but very much appreciated regardless. Take care of yourselves, take care of your loved ones, and peace.